Welcome to Bold Talk series where creativity, leadership, ideas, and innovation come together. My name is Ludvik, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with Horacio Torrendell, the founder and CEO of Treeview. Horacio, great seeing you, and welcome to our Bold Talk series. How are you?
Epi, thanks for the invite. Doing great here. All great.
Awesome. Well, great to have you here. Great to have this started this conversation, especially in the space that you're in. But first, before anything, we get into deeper with the conversation. Give us an overview of the Treeview, your journey, and what inspired you to start Treeview.
Perfect. So Treeview is a boutique XR development studio that works with enterprise clients. We currently work with some of the largest clients in the world, offering professional services in XR development, design, and deployment. We started in 2015 with the DK2. So I had the chance to get one here in Uruguay for a university project, and then I started doing some freelance work with that. And that started growing from some small projects to a bit larger projects. I got maxed out and we started to build a team. We started working with some large startups in the 2017, 2018 era. That started growing. We got our first big client that was kind of like enterprise level. And now we're working with some of the largest clients in the world from offering development services for XR. Treeview is currently ranked as the #1 development studio in Latin America. So our positioning is we have team in Uruguay, Argentina, Mexico, and we're basically the #1 B2B developers in the region, working with clients in the US, Australia, Singapore, the EU. And we're currently ranked, I think, top 4, top 3 in worldwide as a professional service of all these technologies. So that's kind of what we're up to now.
Oh, that's awesome. So Horatio, how are you different from other companies who are providing similar services as you?
I think something that makes us a bit different that we're kind of realizing now with the start of the consumer mixed reality generation is that we have particularly a lot of experience with mixed reality, having done a lot of work with the HoloLens 1, Magic Leap 1 generation. So we were very early with the first headsets on the market of mixed reality. This was 2017. We had access to a HoloLens, and we started doing some work for HoloLens. When the Magic Leap 1 came out, we started working on that technology as well. And now when we're starting to see the first consumer market mixed reality technologies like the Quest 3 and the Apple Vision Pro, we have many years in this space, which really has helped us design better experiences and better software for this technology, which people think it's very similar to VR, but there's many fundamental differences in terms of the user expectation of what actually defines a mixed reality, a native mixed reality experience, more than just a virtual reality with pass-through. So I think that's something that I think makes us a bit different is the amount of runway that we've been working in the mixed reality space, which now has become kind of, I think, the new primary focus of the industry.
Obviously, Apple's Vision Pro is out, first generation. There's lots of mixed reviews about that. What are your thoughts in your activities on a Vision Pro, and what do you think that this is going to take us?
Yep. So I think I think we're super early. So I would consider, we've been in the industry for 8 years, and I consider this year as the first official year that this technology has gone from early adoption to what I think is kind of the start of the consumer generation, I think started this year. So the same way that the iPhone launched in 2007, and it actually smartphones as a technology really started to kick off in 2010, 2012. I think that the next 3 years, we're going to be seeing kind of the foundation of what I think will be the next chapter of consumer technology. So I think the Apple Vision Pro is an amazing headset. I use it a lot. I probably use it every day. I think it's a niche technology. I think there's a lot of opportunities for the B2B. I think there's lots of opportunities with marketing. I think there's lots of opportunities in different industries. But I feel that this is generation 1, and in the next 2 to 3 years, we'll start to see generation 2 come, and I think that's when we start to build up more of a mass market audience for these technologies.
Yeah, you said that well. I mean, my first engagement in an AR space was more than 10 years ago, and I remember there's some application, it was through the phone, and you're trying to create those experiences, and Even
Hmm.
wrote a white paper back then when I used to run a boutique advertising agency in New York. How do you think these technologies will shape the future of professional service? You said that there's an opportunity in the Vision Pro, where on a more like on a professional world and a business world. How do you think these technologies will shape the future of professional services?
Yep. So that's, I think, the biggest opportunity now, and in these last few years has been in for enterprise. The applications in terms of medical applications, training, onboarding of employees, soft skill training, being able to access content or experiences without having to travel to visit places, into better ways of consuming data via IoT sensors and other ways of seeing information and accessing that content. There's a lot of value in enterprise. My insight is that there's no, what I think is different in this technology is that for example, in the enterprise section of, that of how people use computers, for example, like between Excel, Word, and a few other types of like CRMs, like there's a handful of different applications that apply to every company. So there's a lot of scalability of these technologies, like build once and deploy many times. I think that in XR, each client, each use case is very unique, and it requires a specific solution for that specific client. So my insights around enterprise now is that I don't see too much opportunities of building one technology or one software application and deploying it to many different clients. I see that the big opportunity is that each client has its specific use case, and creating custom experiences and software for each different enterprise client. That's what we're focusing on now, which I think is why professional services has such a big opportunity, is that it's very hard to build like a SaaS model around an XR solution, because of how unique every client's environment is. So I think that being able to offer flexibility of, let's understand what your use case is, let's understand your business, and let's build this technology for this use case, I think is where the biggest opportunities are in the space at the moment, which is really our main focus.
Interesting. Um, Obviously, this is the innovation to a next stage. What does innovation mean to you, and how does it drive your company's growth, given the fact that you are at the forefront of this new innovative ways of doing things in a business world?
Yep. So I think some on the innovation side, I think that what is clear is the enterprise value, which is our main focus, but we are very, very attentive to the consumer market, that we feel the Quest 3 really, and Apple Vision Pro also, it's starting a new chapter, and what we feel is that there are things are happening, and we want to be very attentive to the consumer market of where that highest value is. And one specific section, which I think is of high value, which is more consumer side, is education with mixed reality. So many schools, there's a new wave of opportunities in terms of education, and we are exploring that space, because we think that there's a lot of value in that space. So we're exploring that with our first consumer applications, which we've always been enterprise applications. So on the innovation side, we are exploring the consumer education section with two different projects, which are internal projects, as part of an exploration to really understand the signals of that specific industry. That's kind of what we're up to now.
Yeah, obviously, the even back in those days, adoption was one big issue, a challenge for space in AR, VR, mixed reality. What are some of the biggest challenges facing today, the
Mhm.
adoption of AR, VR in a professional setting, I would say?
Yeah, so my insight around this, and also in education, is that we have a very mature hardware ecosystem. So the headsets that are live now are extremely high quality. So they're very mature. The platforms for development are very mature. I think that the biggest challenge in the whole industry is that we're missing great content. So I think that we have great hardware. Many schools, many companies are buying these headsets, are setting up VR labs or XR labs. There's a lot of investment in the space, but I think that the vertical that's most lacking is world-class content. And I think here that the importance is not a volume of content. We don't need 100 different experiences about certain experience. We need a handful of great world-class content that justifies the actual usage. I think the biggest challenge and opportunity kind of at the same time is the lack of great content in the space.
And when you say a lack of great content, you mean like the available applications that are, let's say, in the Vision OS, or is it just, let's say, for example, YouTube embarking in this journey, making available for other creators? Is that what are you thinking?
Yeah, so like you mentioned about Apple Vision Pro, like the headset is amazing, but there's really just a handful of applications available on the App Store. So, and I want to differentiate iPad apps that are compatible versus actual spatial computing applications. So
Yeah,
the actual amount of great spatial computing applications on Vision OS is very limited at this time. So I think that what we need to focus on, the main challenge now is that the headsets are great, but we need more content. We need more developers building things. We need more developers exploring on the consumer market, on other use cases. And it kind of aligns to what the initial topic that we talked about, which is in enterprise, it makes more sense to have specific use case applications. So that makes it harder for those applications to be available for more people. So I think content is where the biggest challenge is at the moment.
got you. You rank, as you said, the number one in AR development and VR development team in Latin America. Where is Latin America a market with in this space in comparison to the world?
Yep. So I think there's a lot of talent. So in Latin America, I think it's a great hub for talent. I'm as a consumer market, I would not. I'd have my issues with the consumer market. I love my country, so Uruguay, for example, is great, but it's just so hard to get access to hardware, for example. Like that, there's we're very far away from like physically from the time zone. It's great, but physically it's far away. So I think that at least Uruguay and Argentina also has a bunch of problems. Like it has a problem for accessing hardware, and I think there has been a lot of usage of kind of the PC and mobile apps. But since this industry is very hardware based, and having access to hardware, I think is key. I don't see Latin America as a great consumer market, but I do see it as an amazing talent based. So we share the same time zone with the US. The region is so big and we all share almost the same language except for Brazil. So it's a very dispersed talent area that crosses many different countries that we all speak the same language. I think it allows for a great hub for talent and for creativity and for development. So I see Latin America as a great talent hub, not a consumer market.
Nice. Obviously, the Horatio running a team in the forefront of these technologies that are shaping people's behaviors and the way how we do things. How do you encourage and evaluate new ideas within your company?
Yeah, that's interesting. We always are tinkering around. So we're fans of kind of the Google law, the Google rule of 20% of time for exploration. So we do a lot of that, and every year we are exploring different things. So we've always been super early adopters with every new technology that comes out. So the Apple Vision Pro, we had it a few weeks after it came out. The HoloLens one, every hardware that comes out in the space, we make sure that the first month it's available, we have the hardware, we're tinkering with the hardware, and we're building stuff with that. So being an early adopter on all of the fronts of this space is super important for us. So I think it's really about prioritizing the value of being experts before everyone else in new technologies. So that early adoption of expertise is something that is very important for us.
Yeah. How do you keep up with the trends these days? I mean, things are moving so fast. You have this AI and everybody's going to AI now. You're going to have a spatial computing. How do you keep up with trends?
We are super focused. So we're laser focused on one thing, which allows us to ignore other things. So AI, for example, it's a big topic now. It does not have anything to do with what we do, and we are very happy to just focus on what on our niche. So I think the way that we manage to handle all of the noise in the industry, which is huge, there's a lot of things going on, is to just be super laser focused in one thing, which changes names. So before it was called VR only, and then VR AR, kind of the same thing. Then it started to be called XR. Now they're starting to call it spatial computing. But in reality, it's all exactly the same technology, which is it could be called immersive. I think spatial is a nice name. Then there was like the metaverse years, which they were calling that metaverse. So I think that our industry, the way that AI is, everyone kind of simplifies it in AI, and everyone kind of understands it's coded intelligence or digital intelligence. Our industry has always been specific, but has always had a hard time with a naming convention of what we actually do. AR, VR, XR, MR, spatial computing, immersive technologies, all of that, it all is the same, which is the next way of interacting with technology. So it's until now we interact with technology through a screen, and these next generations is spatially engaging in the digital world, be it in a virtual space, be it in your physical space, or being a mix between the two. So that's kind of how we've been.
Yeah.
Laser focus is the answer to that question.
I love that because I think the most innovative thing that you can do these days, like being laser sharp focus, which there's just so much distraction coming your way, and I completely agree with you. I mean, this is all part of what the whole world is struggling with, like trying to find a way like how they can be focused. Now, Horatio, we're coming to an end to this. I'd love to have a much deeper conversation with you, hopefully next time. But last question, what does bold mean to you? Not bold words, but the word
Hmm.
bold. What does it mean to you?
I associate it with taking risks. So I feel it's about courage, taking risks. So I would say courage maybe is the best association to the word bold. Um, so that energy of really jumping into things and really dedicating one's big portions of one's life into something. So I think courage and taking risks, I would associate it to the word bold.
Or maybe also being bold is being focused too, right? These days.
Well, yeah, also not scattered around. I think that's one of the biggest challenges in many in today and in entrepreneurship in general is that really every year there's a new shiny thing. So being able to really just have one goal and really focus on one thing is I think is a differentiator. I think that really is what excellence requires: deep focus in something, or being bold in something. That could also be an interpretation. And many years of really honing in on a specific topic and being great at something. A decade in something, I think, is what's needed to acquire mastery in something. And maybe that could be an interpretation of bold.
Very well said, Horatio. I wish you all the best. Always be bold. Congrats on all of your successes so far. Thank you for joining me in this Bold Talk series and look forward to seeing you again soon, hopefully in Uruguay, in this lovely country. Until next time, take care, be great, and be bold always.
See you, Epi. Thank you.
Take care.